because Miqdad never used to become irritated. And Miqdad says to this man, مَا يَحْمِلُ الرَّجُلُ عَلَى أَنْ يَتَمَنَّى مُحْضَرًا غَيِّبَهُ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. Why on earth would a man wish to be in a time Allah did not choose that time for him? Why on earth would a man wish to be in a place Allah did not choose that place for him? Why on earth would a man wish to be in a circumstance, in a situation Allah protected him from that? لا يدري لو شهده ما يكون فيه. And that man does not know if he was in that time, in that place, in that situation, how he would have reacted to it. Isn't it? How he would have reacted to it. He says, أَفَلَا تَحْمَدُ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلْ إِذَا أَخْرَجَكُمْ فَلَا تَعْرِفُونَ إِلَى رَبِّكُمْ. He goes, why don't you just praise your Lord? That Allah took you out in a time where you only know your Lord. وَتُصَدِّقُونَ بِمَا جَاءَ بِهِ نَبِيُّكُمْ, and you only accept your Prophet. He says, by Allah, our Prophet was sent a people, many of whom were dragged on their faces into the fire of Jahannam. لَمْ يُجِيبُوا لَمْ يُصَدِّقُوا. They didn't respond to his call. They didn't accept his message. And they were thrown into the hellfire. So why don't you just praise Allah that you accept your Lord and you accept your Prophet? Now think about Miqdad, the man himself, the man who was saying these words, and think about the reason why he became infuriated and why he said the things that he said. Because think about the early days of Islam. Miqdad himself was a hero of Islam, was a hero of a scenario, of a situation. On the day of Badr, when our Prophet was outnumbered 3-1, 1,000 against 300 small, impoverished, barefooted companions. And our Prophet hears the news that the mushrikeen are coming from Mecca to make war against him, and they have 100 horses and 600 armed men, and they have enough provisions to last them a few days, and they're coming. And that small embryo of a state, that Islamic state of Medina, is under threat. And our Prophet is waiting for some good news and some comforting words from his companions. And who comes along? Abu Bakr comes along, may Allah be pleased with him. And he leaves. Umar comes along, may Allah be pleased with him, and he leaves. But neither of these two great men were the heroes of that scene. Neither were the heroes of that scene, for the hero of that scene was only Miqdad ibn al-Aswad radiyallahu anhu. And Ibn Mas'ud says, Shahidtu min Miqdad ibn al-Aswad mashhadan. Wallahi. He says, I saw something from Miqdad ibn al-Aswad. لأن أكون صاحبه أحب إلي مما عُدِلَ به. I would have given everything I own, everything in my life, had I been the hero of that scene. Everything I have to become the hero of that scene. But they weren't the hero except Miqdad ibn al-Aswad. Because Miqdad came, he says, Ya Rasulullah, says, O Prophet of Allah, imdi li amr Allah ta'ala. You go and do what your Lord has commanded you to do. فَنَحْنُ مَعَكُمْ, because we're with you. وَاللَّهِ لَا نَقُولُ لَكَ كَمَا قَالَتْ بَنُو إِسْرَائِيلِ لِنَبِيٍّ. We're not going to say to you what the children of Israel said to their prophet, فَاذْهَبْ أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكْ فَقَاتِلَا إِنَّا هَاهُنَا قَائِدُونَ. You and your Lord go and fight, and we're waiting for you. And Allah quotes them in the Quran. بَلْ نَقُول, but we're going to say to you at this time, at this moment, on this day, O Prophet of Allah, اذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا فإن معكما مقاتلون. You and your Lord go and fight, because here we are fighting alongside with you, O Prophet of Allah. And we're going to fight on your right and on your left and from before and from behind you. And Ibn Mas'ud says that the face of our Prophet began to shine when he heard those words. This is the early days of Islam. The sacrifices the Sahaba that they made. Look at the case of that Abyssinian slave lying on the burning sands of Arabia, being whipped and tortured, and his only crime is that he believes in Allah. And they're throwing the idols in his face. قُلْ اللَّاتُ وَالْعُزَّى, say the names of our gods. And Bilal, in that defiance, إِنَّ لِسَانِ لَا يَحْصِنُهُ, my tongue is incapable of saying those names. My tongue is incapable of saying those names, in that defiance. And Ammar bin Yasir, may Allah be pleased with him, he says later on, جَزَلَوْ خَيْرًا عَنْ بِلَالٍ وَصَحْبِهِ عَتِيقًا. May Allah reward Bilal and the one who freed Bilal, which was Abu Bakr. وأخزى فاكها وأبا جهل. May Allah destroy Fakih and Abu Jahl. عشية هم في بلال بسوءتي ولم يحذر ما يحذر المرء ذو العقل. And I remember those days and nights when Bilal was tortured and persecuted, and no man of any sanity could hurt a man like that. بتوحيده رب الأنام وقوله شهدت بأن الله ربي على مهلي. Because of his belief in Allah, and because of his perseverance and his defiance, and that he accepted Allah as his Lord. فإن يقتلوني يقتلوني ولم أكن لأشرك بالرحمن من خيفة القتل. And so Bilal says, you want to kill me, kill me. I would never ascribe partners with the most merciful on account of being killed. فيا رب إبراهيم والعبد يونسي وعيسى وموسى وعيسى نجني ثم لا تبلي. And so the Lord of Ibrahim and his servant Yunus and Musa and Isa, rescue me and don't place me in any trial, O Allah. And so you understand why Miqdad became irritated. Because this is what they were dealing with in the early days of Islam. And so to wish for that, not knowing how you would have responded to that scenario in that situation, is something completely else. And this was his defiance. But look at the stamina of the Sahaba. Like the poet says, إِذَا بُلِيتَ فَثِقْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الَّذِي يَكْشِفُ الْبَلْوَى هُوَ اللَّهُ. You're tested by Allah, you place your trust in Allah. You're tested by Allah, you place your trust in Allah, because the one who will remove your situation is only Allah. Like the poet says, لا تخضعن لمخلوق على طمع فإن ذلك وهن منك في الدين. Don't always beg the creation, because that shows weakness in your religion. واسترزق الله مما في خزائنه فإن الأمر بين الكاف والنون. And you seek from your Lord, you ask Allah, because the affair is between two letters, kaf and noon, kun, be, and it becomes. And this was their resolve, sabr and shukr. Iman, Ibn Qayyim says, wal iman nisfan, iman is two parts, sabr and shukr, patience and thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the story of the leper, Ibn Qayyim narrates, a man who was struck with leprosy, and he was lying on the floor, and a man walked past him. And as the man walks past, the leper says to this man, Alhamdulillah ala ni'mihi, praise be to Allah for his blessing. The man says, why on earth would you want to thank Allah? Allah's taken everything from you, left you nothing. Allah's taken everything from you, left you nothing. Why on earth would you want to praise Allah? The leper says, Irmi bi basarik ila ahl al-Madina, turn your eyes to the people of the city. فانظر إلى كثرة أهلها, and see how many of them there are. And the man looked towards the people of the city. And the leper said to this man, أفلا تحمد الله عز وجل. Should I not then praise Allah, that out of all these people Allah only chose me? Out of all these people, I was the one who was chosen by Allah. Because in the musibah there is reward, there is expiation, there is recognition of Allah. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, that Allah has power over all things. But it wasn't just the male companions, it wasn't just the likes of Sayyidina Bilal radiyallahu anhu. Take the case of that wonderful woman. Look at the wonders of Allah in the early days of Islam, when our Prophet was shivering from his experience in the cave. And the